are plans afoot for teams to return to training, the 9th, 10th, 11th of May. Is that a date that you're working towards?
There's a lot of speculation, Chris, that's going on. You know, a lot of talk between the Premier League chief execs and obviously the Premier League and the relevant bodies. I think that the most sensible option is just to keep moving it back. Obviously, it's all governed, and we're all taking our lead from the powers in government and when they're talking. But I think football's took a little bit of criticism. Why, what else were we meant to be doing? We're putting plans in place like everybody else in every business and organisation will be doing to hopefully when they come out of lockdown. But we're working away, diligently. Players, staff, the players, the way they're going about the business from our football club is brilliant. It's all been monitored. It's all been recorded. We're talking to them. They're all working away. They're desperate to get back playing, and you can understand why. But they understand there's a bigger picture out there.
You mentioned what the players were keeping themselves fit during this lockdown. What have you been doing from a professional perspective? Scouting players, opposition, that sort of thing.
Yeah, looking through past games. We've all, video analysis is big at our football club as it is at every football club, especially in the top two divisions. So analysing our performances, analysing the teams that we've played, the up and coming teams that we're playing, from a recruitment point of view, potential targets. Obviously that's fluid because from a financial point of view, things might change. Looking at all different aspects of the football club that we can improve on. And I think that's just natural for us all to do that. We're always working away. We're never, we're not sat here and going, well, it's brilliant, patting ourselves on the back with 7th in the division. This now is a time to kick on and not waste this time and get the maximum amount of the time while you're at home. Of course, it's a lot easier when you're all together and you're in one building. And so logistically, it's not great, but as you can imagine, through technology, we can all connect to each other better than what we've done in any part of our lives, and keep, as I said, we have to make sure that we don't stand still and be inventive, and looking at every aspect individually, looking at the players, looking at the units from a defensive point of view, in possession, out of possession, all different stuff, all stuff basically, like Chris, that we can control and we can impact on.
All things you can do from home as well, I imagine, when you're not the training. Yeah. I mean, you touched on this earlier, but and take the finances out of it. But do you think the league has to finish to retain its integrity as much as anything?
100%. Well, people talk about it. The financial aspect is important. Of course, there are bigger issues, and if we come to that stage, they'll make the right decision. People will make the right decision, I'm sure. There's too many experts in the field to risk health and safety of anybody, let alone professional footballers. But from a personal point of view, I don't think we should be talking about the start of another season when one hasn't finished. And for me, however long it takes, and if it has to go behind closed doors, it has to go behind closed doors. And as I've said before, I think from a morale point of view, there's not many good news stories coming out of the media at any time. And I'm sure when we get football back and people can watch it at home, and I'm sure that will give everybody a big boost and take the minds off, obviously, the unpleasant things that are happening in the country.
Last one from me, Chris. I know you've been at clubs in the past in the lower leagues with financial issues as well. What do you think should happen in terms of those lower leagues? I've read about potentially it being regionalised, leagues 1 and 2. Would you think that would be a route to go down now? Yeah,
I do. Yeah, that's always been something that I've sort of discussed with other people. The full-time teams in the conference. Barrow versus, Barrow versus Eastbourne Borough on a Tuesday night. What's all that about? And even in the football league, and there'll always be a way of promoting the best sides, and it's something that the cost of football, the cost of the travel for the supporters, more derbies, more, so little initiatives like that have surely got to be looked at through this period to make it easier, to make it financially better for clubs, and enormous amount of admiration for people that don't go and support the Man Uniteds and Man Cities and Chelseas and Liverpools, that want to keep their club going, that have got history, that have got a connection with these clubs. It's a unique situation is English football in terms of the pyramid system, and it's important that we look after that. Of course, there'll always be the major focus on your international teams and your Premier League teams, but there's a lot of, as I've known, as I've experienced through my career, there's a lot of brilliant people involved and a lot of great work that goes on in these small clubs, and it's important that things like regionalised football is looked at, and hopefully we come out of it better in a better way.
Cheers, Chris.
Cheers, Chris. Take care, mate.
And you.
Hi, Chris. Hope you're well. It's Andy here. You all right?
Hey, Andy. You okay, mate?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Just to follow on from what Chris was talking about, do you think football as an industry, top down, right through the divisions, perhaps needs to look at what it's spending? We've been without football for 5 weeks now, and already clubs are in very stark financial situations, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, it's unprecedented, Andy, isn't it? And I think, especially in this region, we're blessed that we've got outstanding football clubs that mean a lot to every community, that everybody's proud of. Sheffield's not just about Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday. The whole region, from Rotherham to Barnsley to Chesterfield to Doncaster, right the way through. And people have got a huge pride and love of their own individual football clubs. I think, unprecedented as it is, I do fear that clubs will go selfish and insular and look after themselves, which will obviously impact on the smaller clubs. Whether that changes, I'm not so sure it does, because people at the top want their team to go well, and usually behind going well is chucking a lot of money at it, and as we've seen, sometimes that is not the right thing to do, and not the right thing for the game. But the game, I should imagine, has got a lot of thinking to do when we do come out of it, because I fear, and unfortunately I think that there might be a few clubs that don't come through this and don't manage to survive.
The headline kind of cliched question in all of this would be about maximum wages, because if there's a top maximum wage for the Man Cities and Real Madrids of this world, it forces the pyramid down, doesn't it? So that there might not be players in League Two earning $4 or $5 grand a week.
Well, that's right. I look at Bury, and I know for a fact that the money that they were paying, trying to get out of League Two, it's always been the same. I think Chesterfield had it a few years ago where they were paying ridiculous money, and there's always a period afterwards that puts huge amount of pressure on the football club. And I've always said it. I think the Championship is a ridiculous division. The money that gets spent, and if people have got it, that's I suppose it is a difficult conversation to have, because if people have it, there'll always be the question, well, why can't they do what they want to do with their own money if it's their own wealth? So that's the other part of the argument. But surely there's got to be a process and a structure that doesn't put clubs at risk of going to the wall. We've already had Derry. There's been some clubs that have come so close to the wall, and some big clubs as well. And I always look back at the Portsmouth one, where, and I think supporters have to take, for me as well, supporters have to take responsibility, and they're always shouting about, we need to do this and we need to do that and we need to spend this and we need to spend that to get him, and why don't we get him in and give him that amount of money? And you look at Portsmouth, and I think that was a great example of what happened there. Supporters at Wembley 2 or 3 times, but I think everybody in football knew that there was always going to be a fallout from that, and unfortunately it happened, and in an heartbeat they find themselves in the bottom division of English football, and possibly less than 5, 6, 7 years ago they were winning FA Cups and playing in Europe. So it's got to be always a short, medium and long term view of how we run football clubs, and as I've said all along, with my connection to Sheffield United, and that is why I'm involved in everything that goes off, and it's important that I take a responsible role in being involved in that, and making sure that this club's here for a long, long time. When I've gone, when the players have gone, when the owners have gone, Sheffield United is still playing at Bramall Lane, and it's still a healthy football club.
One of the grey areas, and Rob and Chris sort of touched on this a little bit at the in their time, is about players who are out of contract. Sheffield United don't have many of those, but with the season not finished, but June the 30th is getting ever nearer. What are A, Sheffield United doing about that, and B, what can you do about it, I suppose?
Well, I should imagine from a legal point of view, there'll be discussions that they'll come up with an answer. I don't see it as a huge problem. I'm sure that none of my players, the out of contract ones, if asked to extend the contract, will do that. And if they don't, then they're not part of us going forward. So it's a pretty straightforward decision. That I hear about the other players at other clubs that might walk away. Let them walk away. They don't want to be part of the football club. See you later. Bye bye. We'll get on with what we've got to get on with. It's unprecedented times. People want to see everybody putting everything into the football club. If people are looking at this from an individual point of view and worried about their careers and want to go down that road, from my point of view, I'd let them do it. But I've got Phil Jagielka out of contract. If I spoke to Jags in 20 minutes time and said, listen, Jags, we're going to extend your contract by a month. It's up to you. I know 100% what his decision will be. And that's the old point of having good people at good football clubs. And if people don't want to be part of that, then I'll make that decision for them. They won't have to. They won't have to hang about too long. And I'm not allowed to put them in the car, am I? I'll give them a lift wherever they want. They'll possibly get in their own car. But that's our stance as a football club. And I'm sure the authorities will make provisions for players out of contracts. And I should imagine, there's not many. We've got what, 2 or 3 players that might be out of contracts out of a group of 25. That's still 22 players, still enough to stick a team out there whenever we're asked to play. So absolutely no issue with me at all.
You might have to buy an estate car if you're to get them all in. What about fitness and physical fitness? Yeah, all the players are going to be in shape to a fairly high degree when they come back. There's clearly going to be a period of time when clubs are allowed to train to get back up to speed.
Yeah.
But I mean, surely football's not going to be able to return at the full throttle nature that we might expect it to be.
Well, no, but that's what happens at the start of the season. So I think that'll be taken into consideration. I believe we need 2 to 3 weeks to get ourselves back. There's obviously, different movements, and whatever that players need to get up to speed with. Striking a ball and the different movements that they have to do. That we do in pre-season. If it was just a normal league, we're usually playing games after 2 weeks. They're already in a better position physically, and let's not be soft on players. They're robust. It is, as we keep saying, unprecedented times. They'll all kept themselves fit, and if they haven't, then they need to look at themselves, because everybody needs to be ready to play their part. And what they can do is what they are doing, and I believe the majority are players doing. You see it, the Liverpool players doing it, the Tottenham players are doing it. They're all working away. They've all got responsibility. My players have, as I've said, climbed to the top of the mountain. They won't be ones that have all of a sudden thinking that they've made it. We certainly don't as a football club. My players certainly don't think so. We're all dialing into them and knowing what they're thinking and how they are. In terms of the recordings of what they're doing from a physical point of view. Are they going to pick up where they left off after the Norwich game? It might take 1 or 2 games to get them going, but we're all in the same boat, and that's how we should be looking at it.
Marvellous. Thanks for your time. Much appreciated.
Cheers, Andy. Ta-ra, mate.
Cheers.